First, I want to thank Chris for allowing me to participate and share with you what I love so much, which is insurance. I know that you guys are not that excited about this topic. It is insurance and a little bit boring, but I'm going to make it exciting for you. So as we know, as we experienced in the last couple of months, a lot of disaster, right? We had the Sandy hurricane, or is it a storm? According to Chris Christie, he made it into a storm, but we all know it was a hurricane. And the reason he did that, just before I start, is because of the deductibles that we have on our policies would have had more homeowners not able to restore their homes. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into that. So, Sandy, do you remember that in the beginning of last year, we had about 4 earthquakes in the New York area? They were small, but we had earthquakes. So New Jersey is no longer in the tri-state area. It's no longer a non-disaster area. It's now becoming part of our everyday lives. So we have to be prepared on our insurance policy. So most of you own a small business, right? Good. And how many of you run your businesses out of your home? Interesting. Okay. So I have some great information for you. So what are the perils that the insurance companies talk about? Earthquake, fire, flood, hurricane, storms, tornadoes, and wind. So this is now, we're going to experience one of these or all of them at some time. Most insurance policies cover these 3, fire, wind, and tornado. That's it. The rest are not covered unless you do what's called an endorsement. So flood is not a covered a standard coverage. You have to purchase that, and you must request it. Now, if you have a good insurance agent, that agent will tell you about that, whether you are in a flood zone or not. We're not going to talk about flood too much today, but it's very important that you do get flood insurance even if you're not in a flood area. Why? Because many pools and many homes that have pools have breakage, and then that water starts to travel. And all you need is 2 homes in the same block, and that's considered flood and not sewage backup or any other coverages that you normally have on your insurance policies.
What happens if your sump pump stops working?
Okay, very good. So that will go under sewage coverage, even though it's not sewage. That would be under your homeowners, that would be considered sewage coverage. And that would cover everything in your basement, all your furniture, your television, and everything. But flood does not cover any of that. Flood only covers your boiler, your washer and dryer, your freezer, the food inside the freezer, and your television, your sofa, and all your clothing, your Christmas trees. All of that is not covered under flood. So you may say, I'm not in a flood area. Why am I going to purchase it? How many of you live around homes that have in-ground pools or above-ground pools? And they're in our neighbor's home, and they tend to have damages. So we're going to go over all the policies that you should have on your, all the coverages you should have on your policies. And I know this looks a little bit overwhelming, but I'm going to try to make it nice and smooth for you. The standard policy when you go buy insurance, most of you ask for what? Liability, right? I just need liability because you're worried about the lawsuit held against you. Business interruption is rarely mentioned unless the insurance agent is very detailed, and they'll tell you you have business interruption. Now, they do offer a standard business interruption, but it's very basic. You need to go into that a little bit deeper, and I'll explain why. Extended coverage, in case the fire or the disaster caused a lengthier time of recovery, then you need extended coverage. Business income. How many of you have business income in your insurance policy? I know, it's so crazy. For me, I don't understand why, but most of my customers choose not to have business income. Now, doesn't that business support your family? Our business supports our family, our homes, our cars, our vacations, our sports car, our motorcycles, right? Our campers comes from our business. So if you have an issue with your business and you have no business income, you have to be very creative in making up another business really quick.
I wasn't familiar with the fact that business interruption and business income were actually different coverages.
They're combined, but they have limitations. So yes, business income and extended coverage and all these extra things up to here can go under business interruption, but they all have layers, deductibles. Okay? Dependent property coverage. How many of you, if there is a loss at your home, if your business is out of your home, and you have to go somewhere else, where would you go? What's the backup plan? Can you go to a shared office and run your business out of there? What if you have a restaurant? What do you do with that? Can't do much with that, right? With a restaurant, you can't really relocate a restaurant unless you have a huge parking lot and maybe get trailers and make it beautiful. It's a lot of work for some businesses, but for our services, it seems like we're all in service here. We can get away with going to a shared office right away or going to a friend's office and using their space to continue our business. But that has to be all planned out, because at the moment of a chaos, I will guarantee you, your mind goes white. You don't remember anything, and you don't even know where to go. So, dependent property coverage, we're going to go into that. It's not exactly where you're going to go, but who are you dependent on? Who are your people who you buy from? So, let's go back to restaurant, and let's say that the restaurant owner buys from this meat market, and they've already negotiated a certain amount of money or discounted for their supplies, and that meat market was caught on fire, and now they have to find another place that's going to cost more money, and it's a little bit further, and all that expense, you can claim that, even though the claim didn't happen to you. Utility service. Now, what happened during Sandy? Some of us experienced different things, but most of us, no power. No power. So if you didn't have utility service coverage, your insurance company told you, sorry, you're not covered. Oh, but it was a storm, and I have losses, and I can't make phone calls. Sorry, you're not covered. Without this here, specifically here, many people were not able to continue their businesses and lost thousands of dollars just because of this little part right here. It wasn't that my building didn't get flooded. The tree that fell didn't hit my building. My biggest problem was lack of utility. Lack of heating, lack of phones, couldn't do anything. Leasehold interest, we'll talk about that. Earthquake, it's additional, it's not covered. Property insurance for those that owned your property. Terrorism, and you're saying, what? It just happened in 9/11, it's not gonna happen again. Well, if it does, and you don't have it, it's about $100 a year. For $100, you can restore yourself. Workers' compensation is a standard policy when you have employees, and even for yourself, I always recommend it for you as a business owner to get workers' compensation. And you may say, but I'm a sole proprietor, I'm an LLC, I don't need it. Yes, you do, because I can guarantee that you probably don't have disability insurance. So this, if something happens to you, not only pays all your medical expenses, and even if you don't need that part, but it will give you 60% of your income weekly so you can continue living. And that is the best package you can get, especially for us in service. It's so inexpensive. No reason why not to get it. Umbrella, we'll talk about that a lot. So for those that have their businesses in their homes, and we'll go over what you're covered and what you're not covered, and you are servicing a client, you have to go in your car, drive to that client, and you have an accident. So hopefully your insurance policy says business use and not personal use, so they will protect you, but it was your fault, and now you have a lawsuit. And the lawsuit is going to go against you personally, therefore it goes into your home if you don't have enough coverage. And what's in your home? Your business. So it just traveled all around. And in a little policy, like an umbrella policy, less than $500 a year, would have avoided all that. Commercial vehicles. So we're all in service and we don't have big trucks. But it's not about the look of the vehicle, it's the usage of the vehicle. So I can be a taxi driver with my, I have a Yukon. So with my GMC, I can turn that into a taxi. That doesn't mean because it's a Yukon, it needs regular insurance, it needs taxi insurance. So you have your Mercedes and you're driving to see your clients and you're saying, but I'm only driving to see my client, it's no big deal. What if in your policy you don't have anything that says that it's for business use, and you have a personal policy, you are not covered. Because the first thing you're going to say is, oh my God, I was seeing a client. And the adjuster said, what? What did you say? Oh, business use. Well, how often do you see clients? Do you carry clients in your car? Do you give them a ride? Do you go to the restaurants? Do you go to your appointments? Oh, yes, yes, yes. And now this is my only way to transport my clients. Oh, denied. Because we're going to say it. We're doing it every day. Cyber liability, one of the newest coverages that exist today. And cyber liability is you have your iPhones, right? iPads, laptops, all that wonderful stuff. If I lose this, I have it secured. But for the most part, most people don't have their information secured. And so it's very easy for a hacker to download all of your clients' information. And how many of us have very sensitive information of our customers? Social security numbers, address, home address, right? Stuff about them, really personal, which becomes very valuable to someone that's in the business of stealing identity. So cyber liability is one of the newest coverage, and it's the highest risk is for us in service because we carry the most sensitive information in our systems. Now, I have a program that X's out all the socials, but if you don't, you're exposing yourself and your client. Yes?
Roughly how much for that, like a year?
So it can start anywhere from $1,200 to thousands of dollars, depending on how many clients. The average cost when you have a situation like that let's say they steal from your, all your client, all your data, and the law says you have to report it to all of your customers, no matter what. And your attorney, you have to hire an attorney. And then the attorney will tell you, let's pull the credit for everybody, so this way we can track how they are right now and what happens 6 months later and a year later. So the average cost is about $220 per client. So multiply that by the clients that you may have or your company may have.
And what does cyber liability cover?
It will cover all that expense. The attorney expenses, the credit reports, and monitoring and defending you in court.
And it's really about strictly loss of data.
Data. Mm-hmm.
that could be and really financial data mainly.
No. As soon as they grab somebody's information.
I mean identity.
Yeah.
Related to identity theft.
Right. Here's how employees get back at employers. How many of you have employees? When they get mad, they get mad. They love selling clients' information because they get paid about $3 per person. And now to you and me, $3, whatever. But it's not that they get paid the $3, it's that they just took our value. That's what the business, your value is in your client's information, your data. It's what you can sell. When you're selling your business, they don't care about your location. They're more worried about, well, how many clients you have, what's the potential here, how many gross sales, what's the growth here. If you don't have that protected, then you just lost all your clients and you're at risk. But the cost of running that, of getting the attorney, there's an attorney here. If I were to hire you just to start running reports on, I have about 5,000 clients, and they're very expensive. And his hourly rate and all that good stuff, and he has to go to court. It's going to cost me thousands of dollars. So even if the policy costs you, let's say you have a good sized business and it costs you $3,000, it is worth it because he or any other attorney is not going to be $3,000. It's going to be more than that. Okay, and then there's specialized insurance policies like errors and omission. Usually errors and omissions are doctors, lawyers, insurance agents, and people that give advice. That their advice has value, financial advisors, all of that. Employer liability. Now, that was done a long, long time ago when employers had the secretaries sitting in their laps and taking notes, which was inappropriate. And now the women that are involved with the employees, you cannot touch your employees. So they have employer liability to protect you from an accusation, and hopefully it's false. But if it's not false, this policy is not going to protect you.